Most people wouldn't imagine that someone who grew up in the foster care system, whose birth date wasn't even communicated correctly to the families that she lived with, would go on to become a college professor of nearly 20 years, or a published author, or even a mother who could take care of children well. But I've done all of those things. And I've been able to do that because I learned to build authority from scratch. I spent 20 years in academia figuring out how I could position myself as someone to be taken seriously, not only in the classroom, but even among my own peers and colleagues. Because being a Black woman and also being a very young person when I started teaching, those things didn't come to me easily. My students, when I walked into the room, they thought that I was just another student. They would challenge me, they would try me because they felt that they could. And so I had to learn how to mediate that through my tone, the language I used, how firmly I held positions on things. And I saw things change all around me in the classroom. And then it started to translate to the larger college environment, where my colleagues and the administration began to respect me and consider me valuable, want me on committees, want me to hold certain positions. Those weren't things that happened easily in my early years of teaching. So when you are a person that has a lot of responsibility, a lot of obligations, people look to you for important things, but you're also being dismissed and second guessed. This is what I call the authority gap. And for women, this shows up in so many different ways. I've worked in academia my entire adult life, but that's also allowed me to enter lots of different spaces to speak, to be on panels, attend conferences, where I've seen women professionals in action who hold a lot of different roles, ranging from CEOs of companies to directors, deans, presidents of colleges and universities, all kinds of major positions. And what I've witnessed and what I've learned from some of the personal testimonials of these women is that they're still struggling to be taken seriously. Some of them are still struggling to obtain higher positions in their work. This is the authority gap that I'm talking about. So what I've done is develop a class. It's a free live masterclass that I'm calling the authority gap appropriately. And in this class, we are going to spend 60 minutes working through a framework that I developed called the Self-Signal System Framework. And what that framework examines is how your authority and influence shows up across 3 dimensions. On the self layer, we're going to look at the internal state, your own belief about yourself, your own personal narratives. The phrase imposter syndrome is something that could be connected to the self layer of this system. We're also going to talk about the signal, which is the way that you express your authority. And this is done through language primarily, but also through demeanor, through tone. This shows up a lot in email communication, where a lot of women undermine themselves in email, where they're constantly asking if things are okay. If you don't agree, let me know. If you have another idea, then express that instead of taking a more firm position on something. The third layer is the system layer, and this is where I really flex my sociological lens. And we look at the environment around you, the social setting. We look at who the people or players are involved, how power dynamics play out, how your role is being interpreted in that space. And that's an analysis that is not discussed very often. And I'm happy to be able to contribute that to this entire framework to help us understand how authority breaks down across these different dimensions in ways that are very subtle sometimes, and certainly in ways that most women are unconscious of. My goal is for you to walk away from this class having a better understanding of why things are happening the way that they are, and how you can begin to reframe and reposition your authority. Now, the next thing for you to do is to check the link in the description box, register right away to save your spot. Join me on June 4th, 2026 for this class. It will be well worth your time, and I'll see you there.